Welcome. This is not a place for loud answers or instant certainty. It is a quiet space to sit with the questions we rarely say out loud. The question about the purpose of life almost never arrives during a crisis. It does not usually come with tears, loss, or visible collapse. Most of the time, it appears in moments that look completely normal from the outside. You might be sitting on a bus, watching the city pass by. You might be folding laundry, answering emails, or standing in your kitchen after a long day. Nothing dramatic is happening. And yet, without warning, a thought gently lands inside you. What is all of this for? What am I actually living for? Sometimes, the question comes after something you worked hard to achieve, a goal reached, a milestone crossed. From the outside, everything looks successful, stable, even enviable. But once the noise fades, something unexpected shows up in the silence. Not sadness exactly, just a hollow feeling you cannot quite name. A sense that something is missing, even though nothing seems wrong. This is often the most confusing part. You have enough. You are functioning. Your life, by most standards, is fine. And yet, inside, there is a quiet ache that refuses to go away. Many people never speak about this feeling. The question feels too personal, too exposed. You worry that saying it out loud might make you sound ungrateful, weak, or negative. You tell yourself you should be happy. You tell yourself not to think too much. So you keep going. You stay busy. You distract yourself. But the question stays. Why do I feel empty when I already have what I once wanted? Why does having enough still feel like not being fulfilled? If you have ever felt this, there is nothing wrong with you. This question does not mean you are failing at life. It means something deeper in you is waking up. From a Buddhist perspective, this question is not a problem to solve. It is a sign, a quiet signal that something inside you has begun to shift. For a long time, simple answers may have worked. Do your best. Stay positive. Be grateful. Be happy. These phrases are not wrong, but there comes a moment when they no longer reach you. They slide across the surface of your life without touching what is actually happening inside. When that happens, it can feel unsettling. You may wonder why encouragement that once comforted you now feels empty. Why advice that sounds reasonable suddenly feels distant. This is often when the deeper question appears. In Buddhism, this moment is not seen as a failure of attitude. It is seen as growth. Spiritual maturity does not arrive as clarity. It often arrives as confusion, as a sense that the old maps no longer match the territory you are walking through. The mind realizes it has outgrown shallow explanations, but it has not yet found a deeper resting place. This can be lonely. Awakening rarely looks dramatic. It does not announce itself. It does not come with certainty or confidence. Most of the time, it comes quietly, without witnesses. You may feel disconnected from people who seem content with simple goals. You may hesitate to share what you are feeling, afraid of sounding ungrateful or overly serious. So you carry the question alone. There is a way to understand this that may help. Think about physical growth. Your body grows gradually, without effort or permission. But if your clothes never changed, they would eventually feel tight, restrictive, uncomfortable. The same thing happens to the mind. Your awareness expands, but the beliefs and answers you once lived in remain the same. What once fit now constrains you. The discomfort you feel is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is the pressure of outgrowing an old shape. Buddhism teaches that when this question arises, it means the mind is ready to see more clearly, not to escape life, not to reject it, but to understand it at a deeper level. This stage is not loud. It is often solitary, but it is precious. Because the question did not come to harm you. It came because you are ready to look beyond the surface. In Buddhism, the value of this life is not measured by how successful it looks from the outside. It is not defined by achievement, status, or how well you meet expectations. Its rarity lies somewhere much quieter. It lies in your ability to ask, to pause, to look at your own life, and wonder what it truly means. There is an old story often shared in Buddhist teachings. It speaks of a blind turtle living at the bottom of a vast ocean. Once in a long while, the turtle rises to the surface. Floating above is a single wooden ring. The chance of the turtle's head passing through that ring is said to be the chance of being born human. This story is not meant to pressure you. It is not meant to create guilt or urgency. It is an image, an invitation to see something clearly. This life is rare not because it is comfortable, not because it is fair or easy, but because within it, you have the capacity to know that you are alive. You can observe your own thoughts. You can feel your own confusion. You can sense when something in your life feels false or incomplete. Many beings exist, but not all are aware of their own existence. It is possible to move through life like a shadow, to wake up, perform roles, meet obligations, and go to sleep again, day after day. From the outside, everything appears functional. From the inside, something essential is missing. In this way, many people survive without ever truly arriving in their own lives. They are present physically, but absent inwardly. They live according to momentum rather than awareness. They follow paths without ever asking why those paths matter. To be able to stop and ask, what is happening here? Who am I becoming? What am I really doing with this short time? That capacity is rare. This does not mean you must find the perfect answer. It means you are no longer content with living unconsciously. You are no longer willing to be only a shadow of yourself. And that willingness, more than any achievement, is what makes this life precious. When the big questions arise, what often frightens people most is not the question itself, but the silence that follows. You ask what the purpose of living is, and the world does not answer back. No clear sign appears. No voice explains what to do next. In many Western traditions of thought, this silence has been described as empty, cold, or even hostile, a kind of indifference, a feeling that the universe offers no response to human longing. To face that silence is often seen as something bleak, something to endure. Buddhism approaches this silence differently. It does not see silence as a dead end. It sees it as space. There is an important difference between emptiness and openness. Emptiness feels like something is missing. Openness feels like something new can enter. The silence you encounter when meaning falls away is not a hole swallowing your life. It is a clearing, a pause where old explanations stop working, so deeper understanding can begin. This is why Buddhism does not rush to fill the silence with answers. It does not immediately replace one belief with another. Instead, it invites you to stay. Staying is the difficult part. Most of us are trained to escape uncertainty as quickly as possible. We distract ourselves. We search for reassurance. We label confusion as weakness. But courage, in this tradition, is not about defeating the question. It is about remaining present with it, to sit with not knowing, to allow the silence to exist without forcing it to speak, to resist the urge to immediately patch the discomfort with noise. If you feel lost during this stage, it does not mean you are failing. It means you are no longer satisfied with borrowed meanings. You are no longer numbing yourself with easy answers. Confusion, here, is not a mistake. It is a doorway. The silence is not rejecting you. It is making room. And in that room, awareness begins to stretch. Not outward toward certainty, but inward toward clarity that does not need to shout. This is not collapse. This is the beginning of learning how to listen. Most people believe that the hardest part of life is pain, loss, disappointment, fear, failure. But Buddhism points to something more subtle. The deepest suffering does not come from pain itself. It comes from how we respond to it. Modern life often pulls us into two extremes. On one side, we chase what feels good, comfort, success, recognition, moments of happiness we hope will finally make us feel complete. On the other side, we push away what feels uncomfortable, sadness, shame, uncertainty, anything that reminds us we are vulnerable. We spend our days reaching forward with one hand and pushing away with the other. The problem is that happiness never stays where we place it. It arrives, it softens, then it fades. Even the moments we once dreamed of eventually lose their intensity, and when they do, a new desire appears, asking to be chased. This creates exhaustion. You may recognize this feeling, always adjusting, always fixing, always thinking that if just one more thing were different, you would finally rest. Buddhism describes this state as dukkha, not simply pain, but a constant inner friction, a quiet dissatisfaction that lingers even when nothing is obviously wrong. It is like running on a treadmill. The machine keeps moving, no matter how fast you go. You sweat, you strain, you put in effort, but the scenery never changes. The mind works the same way. We run toward pleasure, away from discomfort, believing movement itself will save us. But the faster we run, the more tired we become. This is why constantly trying to fix life feels so draining. We are responding to every wave as if it should not exist. We treat pain as an error instead of a part of being human. The Buddha did not say happiness was wrong. He understood joy deeply. What he saw was that clinging to happiness creates tension, and resisting pain keeps it alive. When we begin to notice this pattern without immediately reacting, something shifts. The struggle softens. The mind slows, not because pain disappears, but because we stop fighting every step of the road. And in that moment, energy returns, not as excitement, but as relief, because we are no longer running. When people hear the word dukkha, they often imagine dramatic suffering, obvious pain, tragedy, crisis. But that is not how dukkha usually appears in everyday life. More often, it arrives quietly. It shows up on ordinary mornings, during normal conversations, in lives that look stable and functional from the outside. Nothing is clearly broken. Nothing is obviously wrong. And yet, something feels off. This is dukkha. It is the discomfort that exists even when life seems fine. The restlessness that lingers after you have done everything you were supposed to do. The strange sense of lacking something, without being able to say what that something is. You may not feel sad in a clear way. You may not feel anxious enough to name it, but you do not feel at ease. I am not unhappy, you might think, but I am not at peace either. Buddhism does not treat this feeling as a personal failure. It does not see it as weakness, ingratitude, or negativity. It sees it as a natural result of living without fully understanding the mind. Dukkha is not a punishment. It is not a flaw in your character. It is the baseline tension of a life driven by habit, craving, and avoidance. When the mind is constantly reaching forward or pulling away, even gently, there is friction. Even success carries weight. Even comfort contains pressure. This is why dukkha can exist alongside achievement, relationships, and stability. It is not about what you have. It is about how you are relating to what you have. Many people blame themselves for this feeling. They tell themselves they should be more grateful. They try to fix the discomfort by improving their circumstances or distracting their attention. But dukkha does not dissolve through self-criticism. It softens through understanding. The Buddha taught that seeing dukkha clearly is not pessimistic. It is honest. And honesty is the beginning of freedom. When you stop treating this unease as something wrong with you, it becomes something you can observe. And when it is observed without judgment, it begins to loosen. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you are no longer at war with the way life actually feels. That quiet shift is where peace first becomes possible. When life begins to feel overwhelming, many people carry a quiet thought they rarely admit, even to themselves. A wish for everything to finally stop. Not always a wish to die, but a longing to rest completely, to be free from pressure, confusion, and constant effort. It can sound like this. Maybe it will all end when I am gone. Maybe death is a kind of release. From a Buddhist perspective, this way of thinking comes from exhaustion, not truth. It grows out of a life that feels unresolved, a life that has been spent reacting, striving, and enduring, without understanding what is really happening beneath the surface. Buddhism does not view death as a switch that turns suffering off. It does not see it as a clean ending or a final solution. Instead, death is understood as a transition, a change of form, not an erasure of cause and effect. The reason this matters is simple. The patterns we live with do not disappear just because the body stops. The habits of fear, grasping, and avoidance we carry through life shape the mind. And the mind, in this tradition, is not static. It is a process that continues to unfold. This does not mean death should be feared. The Buddha never taught fear of death. He taught clarity. Death becomes frightening only when life has been lived unconsciously. When we sense, deep down, that something important has been left untouched, that we have been busy, but not awake. Buddhism does not use death as a threat. It uses it as a mirror, not to pressure you into being perfect, but to remind you that understanding cannot be postponed forever. If life has been spent running from pain and chasing relief, death will not magically bring peace. Peace does not come from stopping existence. It comes from seeing clearly how suffering is created. This teaching is not meant to take away hope. It is meant to return power to the present, because if death is not an escape, then this moment matters. This breath matters. This choice matters. You do not need to wait for another life to begin living wisely. You do not need to fear an ending. The invitation is simple and very human. To understand life while you are still in it. To soften the patterns that create suffering now. When that understanding begins, the fear around death loosens on its own. Not because death disappears, but because there is less unfinished business inside the heart. And in that clarity, even the idea of an ending loses its weight. When people hear the word karma, many imagine a system of reward and punishment, as if life is keeping score, as if someone, somewhere, is deciding who deserves what. But in Buddhism, karma is not a judgment, it is a process. Karma simply means action, and every action leaves a trace. This includes not only what you do, but what you say, what you repeat, and what you dwell on internally. Thoughts shape perception. Words shape relationships. Habits shape character. Nothing here is moral bookkeeping, it is movement. If you speak with irritation often enough, the mind becomes quicker to react. If you speak with care, the mind slowly learns to pause. If you practice avoidance, discomfort grows stronger. If you practice presence, space opens. These changes do not happen overnight. That is why karma can feel invisible, but like water wearing down stone, repetition leaves form behind. Seen this way, karma is not a sentence handed down to you. It is the direction you are already traveling. This is why Buddhism places so much emphasis on the present moment. Not because the past does not matter, but because the present is where momentum can change. Think of karma as psychological inertia. Once something is moving, it tends to keep moving in the same direction. A habit, once formed, repeats itself automatically. A reaction, once reinforced, becomes faster and stronger. This can feel discouraging at first, but it is also empowering, because inertia can be redirected. You do not need to erase your past to shift your future. You only need to interrupt the pattern that keeps repeating it. Each moment of awareness introduces a new angle. Each choice made consciously alters the flow, even slightly, and small changes, repeated, create different outcomes. This is karma in real time. Not fate, not destiny, not punishment. Just cause and effect unfolding inside a living mind. The Buddha did not teach karma to make people afraid. He taught it to return responsibility to where it belongs. Not to the past, not to unseen forces, but to what you are doing right now. When this is understood, guilt loosens its grip, blame falls away, and what remains is something very practical, a quiet sense of agency. Because if karma is a flow, then awareness is how you step into the stream without being carried blindly by it. And that understanding opens the door to real change. After seeing how craving and avoidance keep creating the same inner tension, a natural question arises. If chasing pleasure exhausts us, and running from pain traps us, then how are we meant to live? The Buddha's answer was not extreme. It was simple and radical in its simplicity. The middle way. This does not mean a dull or colorless life. It does not mean suppressing desire or avoiding joy. The middle way is not about becoming detached from life. It is about being fully present within it. To walk this path means refusing two familiar habits. One is escape. The other is collapse. Escape says, I will avoid what is uncomfortable at all costs. Collapse says, nothing matters, so why try? Both come from fear. The middle way stands between them. It says, "I will stay, I will not run from experience, and I will not numb myself to it." This way of living is deeply ethical, but not in the sense of rules or commandments. Buddhist ethics are not about obeying external laws. They are about awareness. Every moment asks a quiet question. Is this action increasing fear or reducing it? Is this word tightening the heart or softening it? Is this choice adding more confusion or more clarity? These are not abstract ideas. They apply to ordinary lives. Whether you are raising children, working a job, caring for family, or navigating relationships, the middle way meets you where you are. You do not need to withdraw from society. You do not need to adopt a special identity. You only need to notice. Notice when desire pulls too hard. Notice when fear pushes you away from what needs care. Notice when you are forcing life to conform to your expectations. Balance is not mechanical. It is alive. It requires listening. The Buddha compared this path to tuning a stringed instrument. Too tight, and it snaps. Too loose, and it cannot sing. Just enough tension creates harmony. Living this way does not remove difficulty, but it changes your relationship to it. You meet joy without clinging. You meet pain without collapsing. And over time, this steady way of walking becomes natural. You are no longer fighting life. You are moving with it, alert, grounded, and awake, not above the world, but deeply, responsibly, humanly within it. After all the questioning, the seeking, the turning in circles, something quietly becomes clear. Meaning is not something you eventually find. It is something you live. In Buddhism, presence is not treated as a technique. It is not a method to control the mind or improve performance. It is a way of being intimate with life as it unfolds. To be present does not mean slowing everything down or becoming constantly calm. It means allowing experience to be what it is, without constantly pushing, fixing, or resisting it. This is where the question begins to soften. When you are fully here, the need to explain life loses its urgency, not because answers appear, but because the question no longer feels threatening. In Taoist thought, there is an idea called Wu Wei. It is often misunderstood as doing nothing, but it points to something more subtle, a state of being so aligned with reality that action arises naturally, without force, like a river flowing around stones. Like breathing when you are no longer thinking about breath, presence works the same way. When you stop trying to extract meaning from life, meaning begins to emerge on its own. It shows up in simple moments, in how you listen without preparing a response, in how you walk without rushing, in how you allow joy without clinging, and pain without closing. This kind of living does not feel dramatic. It feels ordinary, and yet, it carries depth. You are no longer asking life to justify itself. You are participating in it. Meaning, then, is not a destination waiting at the end of effort. It is a quality that arises when attention is sincere. You do not need to name it. You do not need to hold on to it. It appears naturally when you stop standing outside your own life. There is a quiet relief in realizing this. That life does not need to be flawless to matter. That meaning does not require resolution, clarity, or constant peace. What gives life depth is not perfection, but truth. When you stop fighting the way life actually feels, something loosens. The need to control every outcome, the pressure to fix yourself, the constant sense that you are falling behind. Presence does not erase difficulty. It changes your relationship to it. You begin to meet moments as they are, not as problems to solve, but as experiences to inhabit. This does not make life smaller. It makes it real. The question about purpose does not disappear. It simply stops demanding an answer. It becomes something that walks with you, quietly, without urgency. You do not need to conquer life. You do not need to escape it. You do not need to understand everything before you can live honestly. This short life is already enough to be profound. Not because it is special, but because you are here for it. And perhaps that is where meaning has always been. Not waiting to be found, but waiting to be lived. No conclusion is needed. No final statement. Just this ongoing act of showing up, as fully as you can, for the life that is already happening.